Welcome to the world of Scarface. The world is yours for the PlayStation 2. Incredible video game starring Al Pacino. Hooah! Hooah! I don't know why, but I started to say the fucking Michael Keaton Batman quote, and that's not even remotely Al Pacino. But you want to get nuts, let's get nuts. Almost sounds like it would be in this movie.
Yeah. He absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to get nuts, huh? Come on.
You know what? Let's
get nuts.
Let's be safe. We're gonna skip it, not because a guy got shot, but because I'm sure YouTube would be like, that's footage that someone owns, and it's not you taking it down.
Hey. Oh, all right, here we go.
This is a violent video game, folks.
Oh, it's one of those violent video
It's one of
games.
those violent video games. Hey, you know what's bad, Brett?
What?
We totally didn't sync this. Shit.
Oops.
My bad.
Oops. Hey, whoa, hey, okay, all right, come on. What are you doing? Holy shit, I'm fucking getting shot. A lot of blood. This is my home. Al Pacino. Don't worry, we're gonna sing it. We're gonna sing it the next chance we get. Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out in editing. Brett's good at this. Mostly. Sometimes. I'm getting a little strong bad, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're going from Al Pacino to fucking strong bad.
I'll tell you what, yeah. Press the pause button.
We're gonna pause. We're gonna go to options. We're gonna turn on captions, and I am going to hit. Let's see. All right, let me see how I can do this. What is main? If main will let me. Okay, main will let me go back. All right. So 3, 2, 1, back. I'm gonna hit triangle, which will put me back, and this screen will go away.
Sure.
And that's gonna.
Sure.
This is how we sync the audio properly, folks. So 3, 2, 1, back. All right, so...
Hey, welcome. It's me. I'm shooting these guys in my house. Where you doing? Get out of here. Oh, what you got about that? Arm, groin. Dismember.
So there was a period of time in the mid-2000s where companies... There wasn't a huge trend, but it was a little bit of a trend where companies were taking old movies and making sequels to them in the form of a video game. And, well, sequels or retellings, what have you. Basically, using
revisionist history.
Kind of, yeah. Like, unironically, kind of, yeah. If you have seen the film Scarface, you know that it ends with this shootout that we are playing right now. So this particular game is like a what if to that story. Like, what if Tony Montana wasn't killed at this big shootout and he managed to survive and the story went on? And that's exactly what this is. We are escaping the end of the movie and the rest of the game is going to continue. Why am I playing this random Scarface game? Well, one, I'd always heard it was pretty cool. I'm not going to front and pretend I'm a huge fan of the film or anything. It's a good movie, but like, I always thought the game kind of looked cool. And Mr. Bretsky, the way that we do this, Mr. Bretsky usually picks games that he hasn't tried before. Whereas I am, I think the proper term, if I recall correctly, correct me on this if this is not the correct terminology, but I believe for someone like me, you would call a little bitch. And so I always pick games that I'm intimately familiar with, and I figured, you know what? Why don't I play a video game that I'm not familiar with, like Bretsky always does? And that's why we are playing this. And also, Bretsky can do a really good Al Pacino, and it makes me giggle.
Hooah! Here I go. Run and gun.
Going to the grocery store. This game, if I'm sure this game is like probably very forgotten by most people. I feel like there's a lot of these old movie games are, which is crazy because like this got. From what I understand, this is a pretty fucking solid game we got here.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, this shooting is really fun.
Nice.
This shooting is really fun. But there is literally circle is a dedicated taunt button. to explain a little bit, because we did the tutorial before this started. And
unlike me with Oni, where you get to enjoy me figuring out how to play a game.
Those are my guys. I don't want to shoot them.
Hey, don't shoot them. Hey, whoa, hey, get out of the way. I'm trying to shoot the bad guys here. I can't not do. Apparently, my Al Pacino as Tony Montana is just going to be strong bad, so I'm going to lean into that even more.
But see, here's the problem.
Everybody to the limit.
You say that, and now in my head, I'm picturing like Homestar or the King of Town being like, "Don't fuck me, strong bad. Remember, don't fuck me." Fucking Homestar would be the one that's like dangling from the helicopter, you know?
I'm meant to be an example. I'm a trendy hood ornament.
Don't worry, strong bad. We have ways of making you talk. Oh, do you really expect me to talk, Homestar? No. I expect you to die. Strong bad. Mr. Strong bad.
Yeah, this game has a dedicated...
I got all kinds of gadgets for you there.
This game has a dedicated taunt button so that you can go into rage mode, which you saw briefly earlier. I'll do it here in a second. The taunting, though, is so you can fill up that little meter there in the corner. It's your balls meter. And it does this. So you hit... Oh, wait, no, I hit it right as... Whoa!
Jesus, he's got a tiger.
Holy shit! This game's awesome!
Got my tiger. Send him out on you, huh? Come on. Hey.
Anyway, so you have this...
Here I go.
There we go. Yeah, so this rage mode. So you get all your health back, you're invulnerable, and you go into first person, and you basically treat it like GoldenEye, where you're not even aiming. You just kind of go towards the general direction, and they're going to get shot. Like, that's pretty much how the original GoldenEye plays.
Do you get infinite ammo when you're in
also
balls
have
mode?
infinite ammo. You don't have to reload. It's cool. But the way that you do that is it's by killing people, yes, but you also can fill it by taunting them.
Hey, come on. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, come on. Here we go.
Oh, man, this is a violent video game.
Yay.
Which is...
Yay.
I know Bretsky and I used to be a huge fan of The Office, and then I started working in an office, and I really can't watch that show anymore. But I won't front, when I did used to watch it, there were things to it that were very, very funny, and I still think are funny. And one of those is Jim Halpert, one of the characters. He is talking about how, like, sometimes you have to lie about certain things.
Yep.
And one of the ones, he's like, of course, I think he's talking about, like, lying to his kid, and he's like, well, of course that's not true, but you have to say it. Like, when I tell my daughter that violent video games violence doesn't make video games more fun. Like, of course that's a lie, but you gotta tell, you can't just, like, he words it a lot better. But,
Sure.
Oh, no.
Oh, you fucked up. Scarface. Fill your rage meter with skill and shooting. Once full, you trigger blind rage holding down the ball mode.
That was me playing like Duke.
Is there an autosave, or you just...
Yeah, there's a checkpoint.
There was a checkpoint. Okay, you gotta get.
Yeah,
to
I'm pretty sure I went the complete opposite direction that I was supposed to.
I don't know. That tiger happened.
You know, yeah. You know what? You're right.
I think you're fine. Oh wait, it's right there though.
Oh wait, you know what? Yeah. I accidentally skipped this somehow. The first time.
Oh, you were supposed to trigger that.
Yeah.
So you probably couldn't have progressed anyway.
Well, no, I think it did happen. Or maybe it didn't.
Cops are coming.
Because now it's doing the cops are coming thing.
Huh. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
So as Carson was saying, this was kind of a trend.
Yeah, going back to that. Thank you.
It's interesting because to me, like, this title in particular, when I've seen it in your library before as we browse for games to play, and it's one of those ones where, like, it's kind of like a fever dream for me, where I'm like, I feel like I remember this and I remember advertisements for it, but it also just makes me think of, like, this type of engine is very much Everything or Nothing, which they ended up, using and recycling for From Russia with Love. It's kind of Grand Theft Auto-y in a way, it's third-person shooting. And they also used it for... There was a Warriors game. I remember
Yes.
the advertisement for that.
I do too.
Real heavy, because that was back in the day when I was watching like
X-Play.
G4 and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that I remember a fucking blitzkrieg of advertisements for that game.
See, that's where I remember this from, was it being on X-Play and them saying how good it was, and also seeing tons of ads in, I think, like GamePro.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah.
One of those magazines I was reading at the time.
But I think it was definitely the Warriors, definitely Russia with Love. And then this one was one where I was like, I feel like they did this, but I don't remember now. And now that you're playing it, it's like, well, obviously they did. And then you said there's a Godfather game?
Yes.
So another Al Pacino outlet. Pretty much any Al Pacino game could work in this form. Like Serpico would definitely work for this. I would love to see the Scent of a Woman version.
What's interesting about the Godfather game is it's similar to the Warriors game, where you're playing through parts of the Godfather, but that's not like a movie that has a whole lot of like violence, really. I mean, there is, but it's not.
There's so much more story. Yeah. It's not just like shootout after shootout
correct,
after shootout.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so I have not played very far into the Godfather game, but the little that I have, I don't even think my character has a gun yet. Like you do more like hand-to-hand kind of combat, but it's interesting because you do kind of like mobster related stuff. Like you'll go into another territory owned by like a different gang, and you have to like shake down their shops and be like, oh, you need to be paying me protection money, and then like you have to actually protect your territory as well from other people coming in and trying to like steal, the businesses that you're supposed to protect and all this stuff. Like there's a lot going on. It's not as like cut and dry as just like we remade these scenes from we remade these scenes from the film, and now you just have to play through them.
Yeah.
With like a bunch of extra shooting, basically. It's a little more than that, but yeah, I don't remember if they redid. I don't remember if they just took direct. I think for certain spots they took like the sound, the audio from the movie directly.
Yeah.
But I want to say they had certain people come in and like reprise their roles because there was more lines and stuff to do.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they tried to do that with a lot of these, with a lot of this particular genre of what if scenarios for these movie license games. Because I think that was a big point for Warriors. I'm pretty sure they actually got Sean Connery to do new lines for Russia with Love.
Yeah, I want to say that.
I think that was a big deal.
Yeah.
I remember when that came out, I was like really interested in it, but I never ended up picking it up.
I've heard that it's a pretty solid little beat 'em up.
Yeah.
For what it is. I think it's one of those things where like people who are really into the movies are kind of like, because like, or not movies, there's only one Warriors movie, but the movie itself, I guess there's like certain spots of it that it's like it sort of fills in the blanks of like what these characters were doing while the movie itself is showing others,
and they have to like gamify it a little bit.
Yeah, and I guess for certain people it doesn't quite work, but like
I get that.
I've always heard that it was a pretty solid game for like what it is.
Yeah.
I think too though, there was kind of an issue with the industry. I mean, of course there is no fucking shit, but issue's not the right word. The trend.
Sure.
The trend at the time, because GTA was so big, was, well, and a lot of games are still having issues with this, it has to be a big old open world. It just has to be.
Yeah.
Like, this is a big open world, or at least open world. I don't know if it's big, but this is an open world.
Yeah, I saw Giorgio and Debbie Harry on there too. I think this is just soundtrack.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is. Oh, shit. Well, good thing that we always provide an alternative soundtrack.
Yeah,
Not that it fucking matters.
I think I'm gonna type in lo-fi mafia pizza place.
Lo-fi
see,
mafia pizza
and
place.
see what pulls up.
LL Cool J. Damn.
Curtis Blow, hell yeah, baby.
But the Warriors game was not that. It was, from what I understand, it's just like a fairly straightforward beat 'em up where you just kind of go through the levels and stuff. It's not like you're having to like navigate to this point of the city and then go to this point of the city and then this and this and this and this. None of that.
Yeah.
Something I do want to say for this specifically, just the little bit that we have played, they do a very, very, even though it's PS2, which granted there's PS2 games I think that look pretty good, and I think this is one of them. They do a very good job of making him look like Al Pacino.
Young Al Pacino, yeah.
Like that is, you can tell that that's who that is.
Have you seen that clip of Al Pacino now, and he has a Shrek phone case?
Yes. Yes, that shit's hilarious. I think he said it was his daughter or granddaughter. There was someone that just took his phone and was like...
It's his, yeah, I think he actually said daughter, and everybody's like, yo, dude, how young is his daughter, and how old is he?
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's Hollywood.
And Johnny Cash, yeah!
Yes.
Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash.
Oh.
Oh, it's not him. Okay.
Okay. Well.
Let's just
Wow, what a huge joke on us.
edit out all of that.
Yeah. In fairness, as usual, we got the sound turned down just a little bit so that way it doesn't get picked up by our microphones. But, you know, let's not beat around the bush. Even if we had the sound turned up, we probably still would have thought it was Al Pacino between us yelling and all the shit.
Oh, totally.
that we
I wouldn't
say.
be able to hear shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna front and be like, oh, the sound was down. That's the only reason. No, I wouldn't have noticed at least.
Hey, there's a hole in my wall. Okay, you understand this? Come on.
All right, skip the cuts.
Skip the
Play some video. Let's actually play a video game. Come on now, y'all. Let's actually play a video game. Come on.
Oh, that was a level, by the way.
Oh, okay.
The credits are a level.
The credits are a level. Okay.
The credits are a level.
Okay. Well, I would love to save my progress. You know what? I would fucking love it. Just
I like how
let's
one of your
save it.
stats is drugs.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
in
fucking
grams
fantastic.
too.
Yeah.
And balls. Those are good meters.
Some cojones.
Get there before he leaves. Okay. L2 to access Tony's options. Well, I'm hitting L2 and oh wait. Jesus. Oh, that's okay. Ooh-wee, buddy.
You gotta reconfigure the controller, or you
I just
forgot what the L2 button was.
I think you should really consider helping my wife finding a nice nursing home to put my ass in, because I was sitting here going, it's not working, while hitting R2.
Ah, yes.
So that's why I'm like, all right.
You gotta make an L with your hand, and that's how you know.
That's one of those deals where I'm like, all right, so
All right.
It might be time to put me in a home or something. My brain just, it's not going anywhere.
Press X to sorry you.
Oh, shit.
You ran through
there
the
we go.
red light, but that's okay. You're Tony Montana. Is it Montana or Montero?
Montana.
Montana.
Yeah, Montana, I think it is.
Joe Montana was a quarterback, you crazy asshole.
Do you... I don't know these guys' names because I don't know it super well, but are you familiar with... get out of here.
I get the fuck out of here.
With Mike and Mike, I think it used to be called. I don't think it's still on the air.
Mike and Mike.
It used to be a sports show. Two dudes talking.
On...
I want to say they had a thing on ESPN
Two
at
dudes
one point.
talking on a radio.
I know, that's extremely nondescript. Two dudes talking about sports is like the most nondescript thing.
Yeah.
That's like me telling you, do you know this body of water? It's very wet.
Have you ever...
Like, okay.
Submerged yourself in liquid?
The reason I bring it up, though, is because my old social studies teacher...
Mike and Mike. Like, was it a St. Louis radio show?
No, it was like a... Because
was
I was told this when I was in high school, so this was like a national-wide thing.
Okay.
I don't think it was called Mike and Mike in the Morning, but it might have been. It was something like that.
Okay.
I never listened to it. The reason I bring this up is because apparently one of the guys told this story on air, and then my goofy junior year social studies teacher told it to us. But I have to tell you the way that he said it, because for some reason this always stuck in my head. So, okay, I guess I gotta. All right, my bad. Anyway, he's like, listening to Mike and Mike the other day. Mentioned he was driving down the road. Got pulled over by a cop. Cop looked at his license, recognized his name. Cop said, "Wow, you're from Mike and Mike in the morning." He said, "Yeah, I am." He said, "That's crazy. It's a pleasure to meet you." The guy said, "Yeah, glad you enjoy the show. Are you not going to give me a ticket?" And the cop said, "Oh no, I'm still going to give you a ticket. But I just really like your show." Do you think he would have done that if the man that police officer pulled over was Joe Montana? Probably not. American Revolution. Not even kidding.
What a segue.
Yeah, not even fucking kidding. That's how he taught that entire year. He would talk about the most stupid bullshit that had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
And then it would just, out of nowhere, start back right into whatever he was actually supposed to be teaching.
That's incredible.
There was a point in time that me and some other dudes took notes and compared. It was like me and like 3 or 4 other people. We took notes. Like, this was the hardest I ever took notes about every single thing that he said. And then got them together. We realized immediately 2 things. One, he would tell the same fucking stories. There was 8 periods in a day. 1 of them were for lunch, and I think teachers had an off period. That means that he was teaching for 6 periods a day, and he told these same fucking stories 6 times a day, almost always in the same order.
Yeah.
Always about the same subject that we were on, but like very little of the subject was actually in there. Like, I think we all wrote down somewhere between like on a piece of paper, front and back, like 50 lines, give or take. And when we compared our notes, not only were they almost verbatim, only like 5 or 6 of those lines had shit to do with like social studies, and all the rest was like Purdue or basketball or volleyball or something you heard, like something. It was always shit like that.
Yeah.
Now, why did I get on this story? Don't fucking ask. I don't know. I'm here. But I just wanted to talk about it because it's always stuck in my head.
That's amazing.
The way that he would do that. Do you think he would have do you think that police officer would have given him a ticket if it was Joe Montana?
Joe Montana.
Joe Montana?
Joe Montana.
And that was like his big thing of like a thing to think about. And then
American Revolution.
Nah.
American
Revolution.
That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, man. It's that is always I don't feel like that's something our generation. I say that a lot, and I could be very fucking wrong with this. I personally have no romanticism for high school whatsoever, and I don't hear it often, but it's extremely weird to hear someone around our age, at least for me, be like, "Oh yeah, man, high school. I wish I could go back to those days." Like,
There's a couple reasons why I would take it right now.
I mean, yeah, to that end, I guess, but like, I'm sorry. A lot of like, yes, working sucks. I'm sorry. I'll take work over school any day. I'm fucking 33 years old,
really?
And I still do not like school. Like, I just look back at it and it's like, has working stressed me out? Yes. Has having bills and shit stressed me out? Yes. But you know what? There's a paycheck. And the amount of stress that I feel that I have had, like the amount of pressure to perform and do well in my work, is nothing compared to what I used to feel when I was in school.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean that might just be a me thing. It probably is. I had horrible test anxiety.
Sure.
Horrible, and it made me perform terribly. And it's bad whenever we have this completely asinine system of let's make sure that you don't know anything, but that you have memorized a few things for this specific period.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I that's how I've just always felt. Like even in college, man, like it always to me came down to, okay, we're going to do 3 fucking tests and that's it. And you better do good on all 3 or you're fucked. Like no. Not for me. The reasons that you're going to say to go back and do high school, I mean, yeah, that's fair.
I actually have some other points not related to the current state of the world and just the issue of, being an adult and, the reality of paying bills and finding a place to live and all that stuff. I'll finish your thought out first before I jump into mine.
No, I mean, that's basically it, is that I don't want to sound shitty or ungrateful or anything, but like high school is not something I romanticize, and I don't feel like most people that I know romanticize it. And I feel like even down to the writing of just like modern media, I feel like the only time you have a character say like, oh, I miss high school or whatever, is a character that you are purposely trying to show is like a washed up loser or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like now if someone's going to write that character, they're writing them more as an Uncle Rico, you know?
Sure.
But that's kind of the beginning and end of my point, is that I personally, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I personally just don't see or hear it hardly ever, and I'm completely okay with it, but that's my personal mindset.
Yeah. It's tough to say in terms of that. I guess like the romanticizing of it, or the what I liked, what I disliked. There's a lot of things that I enjoyed about my high school days. There's a lot of things I wish never happened, but I think they made me who I am today because of it. Like I'm not advocating for bullying or anything like that, but I do think that there's a certain level of adversity that when you do face and kind of take it or stand up against it, can kind of reshift some stuff. But that being said, I realize that just because I liked certain things, I was called I was thrown like gay slurs in certain ways, and it was like, because again back then it was it still is used in a negative way depending on the point of view. Stuff like that is like whatever. I'm not saying it's like whatever, but for me to take it and just bounce off of it is not nearly like there are people, and that's the important thing, is perspective. There are people in the world that actually get verbally abused and physically abused because of things they like, how they look. We can sit here and have a whole discussion and social discourse about all that stuff. But more to the actual point is like, there's a part of me that wishes I had more understanding of the value of education, because I absolutely took that for granted. I was always somebody who could kind of coast by and still get good grades. And I hate that, because there was a point in my life where by the time I took the part that really humbled me was I took a couple AP classes my senior year, most of which I did fine in because I just knew how to, study the night before, and I had a decent enough comprehension of listening to the teacher during the lecture that I really didn't even have to take notes. I just absorbed it well enough that I could just regurgitate it the next day. Unless it was a subject that I was really interested in, like I did an art survey class that was awesome, and I took notes, and like those tests were great for me because they were purely essay based. They weren't multiple choice, so you could actually like write to it, and as long as you understood how to make a persuasive and supported argument to your thesis, then you would more or less pass. It didn't matter if you were, technically. I mean, obviously he would grade you if you had like historical inaccuracies. It's not like you should be rewarded for spreading the wrong information. And those kind of things I really enjoyed. But I was really humbled because I took a AP history class as well, and I did not do well in that class whatsoever. And that was like the first fucking failing grade I got in my life. And that was kind of the breaking point, and that kind of helped me. It made me not work as hard in college, and I sincerely regret that. But at the same time, I didn't really understand what college meant, and I didn't understand what it meant in terms of what I was going to be paying for later in life, which I'm still paying for because hooray. And now looking back into it, in light of some recent things, I've been looking into maybe taking some courses for political science, because I think that a big issue of selfishness lies in the ignorance of the outside world because of a strong favoritism for individualism and national only. It's like really fucking embarrassing. I consider myself more informed than the average person when it comes to global issues. But if I were to talk to somebody from like the UK or Australia or Japan or something like that, they would be able to school me on like my own national policies way more. And that to me is a huge part of the problem. And so I would like to understand and have a better understanding of those policies. So I'm looking at stuff like that. But like I actually even entertain the idea of maybe doing like online university. Absolutely not. I can't afford it. I would never be able to afford it. And if I knew that going into college when I was in high school and I understood the value of that dollar and what a loan actually meant, I would have told my parents, I'm not going to college. I cannot go to college. And I know that like their generation, at least, my mom, my dad was lucky to go to college. My mom couldn't. Her family couldn't afford it, and it wasn't going to matter a whole lot anyway, either way. And they were a family of 9, so like the parents weren't going to be able to pay for any of it. So the whole, our parents' generation was the generation of, well, we're going to have our kids go to college because that's what's going to be. And they didn't know any better. That's the older problem. Is like, you don't have the foresight. You're doing what you think is best. And, if I ever become a parent one day, I know that I'm going to probably do some things along the lines that my kids look back at and say, I wish you did this better. And it's like, I did what I could, and I'm sorry if whatever. And I know that there are parents that are less present than others, but I'm very grateful that I had parents that wanted me to do the best. But there was a huge split of information and how these student loans really meant, because they thought, or at least they were sold the idea that if you go to college, it's, yes, the loan's going to look scary, but then your kid's going to get a better job and they're going to be able to pay off this money in a good amount of time.
And for like the other thing too, I think it's very easy to point the finger at that generation and be like, this is what you sold us on. Mm-hmm. But nobody ever acknowledges the fact that was working until it wasn't.
Yeah, 100%.
Nobody stopped to say, hey, when is this like what is the capacity or the cutoff for this, because it just didn't seem like it would ever happen.
Right.
It just seemed like this is where we're going to continue to be. And unfortunately, because you and I wouldn't say we're more like the middle of our generation, and I would say the middle of our generation is where it started to get really bad, and now here we fucking are, where it's at in terms of like getting jobs and having security and all that. Like I feel
agree
like
with you.
For the longest time, going to college was a guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
You went to college, you got a degree, and you were basically set.
Yes.
And that did work, and there are people who are in the workforce right now that's all they ever had to do.
Yeah.
Like, and they were set. They didn't have to worry about getting another job or possibly your job not paying you what it should. It was just this is going to last forever. Everybody's getting paid what they're supposed to kind of ordeal, and that's unfortunately not the case.
Right.
But I can't blame them when that was working. Like, why would you question a model that has worked for so many people? And in some cases, it worked for the people that, were pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's one of those things when you get older. And like you said, there are definitely parents that's like, nah, you're just bad. Like, not my old man watches our episodes. I love you, Dad. That is not you. just to make it clear, because not that he would ever like text me and be like, what the fuck? But I would hate for him to be enjoying a cigar in the pool house with his dog and then hear that and be like, well, okay.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Well, I should let you go.
Yeah. Well, I should let you go. No. But there's definitely, shitty parents out there that have pushed things. I think you and I are very lucky to say ours aren't.
Yes.
But my point is that I think it's very easy to blame a lot of shit on your parents. And I definitely did that when I was younger. But now that I am older, I think you also have to take that step back as well and kind of reevaluate, like, how things were at the time. Hindsight is 20/20, like they say.
Well, and you had a lot of it was also, it was how they got that information. A lot of it was, word of mouth or, their friends and their, the parents that had, kids that were older than them, whether it was kind of a mid-generation thing, like, hey, my sister and her, and brother-in-law, they have a kid who's a late Gen Xer, and he's doing really well because he went to business school at, I'm going to make up a name, DCU or whatever. And he did well, and he's got a great job. He did an internship right out of college, and he got a job, and he was able to pay off his student loans in 6 years. Whatever.
Yeah, I totally screwed that up.
But then, yeah, I agree with you that, like, because that is a point where I know personally, a couple of, older millennial, like of my cousins and, in-laws and stuff like that, where they did that trajectory. They went to school, they, did a state school, did great there, whatever, probably got a little bit of a scholarship kickback, so it wasn't as bad, but they were able to get a job, not like a food service job right out, like, a lot of people have to do now, where they're in a service job through college, and then they're in maybe a slightly different service job post-college, and probably don't actually get the job that they studied for, if at all, until 5 to 10 years after school.
Yeah.
And that's being nice. Most people, like myself, don't use their fucking degree for anything. Part of that is because I was an idiot and decided to be a liberal arts major.
Yeah, that's where I was about to head, is the fact that I do hate that there are college degrees out there that you cannot do anything with, and I hate that they exist at all. Like I really feel like it's a giant scam and they should not exist.
Part of it's that I don't regret it because I appreciate what I got out of my study and appreciation for the arts and humanities. It's made me a better person in terms of a larger cultural understanding, both American culture, but also world, European, African, Asian, East Asian, like all that stuff. Like I'm happy and enriched by the things that I've been able to experience because of that. But again, because I didn't really understand the inherent value when I did it. And if I knew exactly what I was paying for every single time, I probably would have been much more selective with like what elective courses I did, what courses I actually did that counted towards my major. And then, yeah, maybe it would have been a thing where I did art and humanities like appreciation as more of a minor, and whatever's more of a like we can hire you now type degree,
right? Which
is fucking business.
Yeah, and that's what I went to fucking school for.
And I think we're also kind of on the cusp of like what. How important things like information technology and
holy shit,
and like advanced degrees in understanding like code and like actual like computer languages and stuff like that. That's hindsight's 2020. I didn't know it at the time, but I really probably should have been more in tune to shit like that. Or even like fucking trades, man. Trades are like way more like they're dying, which is scary in and of itself.
I think part of it is that
they pay a lot better now because of how high in demand they are.
Yeah, and like I think people just don't know about them.
No, it's either that
like,
or
I
they
feel
think
like
that you're going to be, like a handyman or like a... It has a... for a long time, at least in my purview, trade school had a negative connotation. Community college had a negative connotation. And that pisses me off so fucking much. Because, of course, I went to a fucking private high school, which... I would... Fuck it. I disavow completely. Education should be public and should be free for fucking everybody. But because of that, I had this negative connotation. I had this negative perception of, oh, dude, you got to go to a state school. You got to go live the college life. The best play, the play that I wish I fucking did, because I ended up coming back home to do community college. And honestly, some of my favorite teachers of all time were at community college, because I think part of it has to do with those are the people that are fucking like passionate. And those are the people that know that this is what should be funded.
Well, so I talked all that good shit about high school, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel that way about college. I loved college. I still got stressed out. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But I think one of the biggest things, like it was when I had my very, very first college class, because I originally was going for fucking nursing school, if you can believe it. So I went to community college my first 2 years of college, and it's because it was in my hometown. I was able to, still live with my parents and everything. Something that I realized almost immediately, and I think made a huge, huge difference for me, is that no one is forced to be there.
Yeah.
Like with kids have to be in school. They literally, like by law, they have to have some sort of education. That's where they're going to be. And there are shitty kids. They do not want to be there.
Correct.
And it inherently makes it worse for everyone else. And something else that I think we've neglected just a little bit is the fact that you and I also have vastly different experiences from high school. Not just the fact that I went to public and you went to private, but quite literally where we have grown up.
Yes, that's a huge difference.
That has made a massive difference in it. And that's something too. I mean, preaching to the choir on this one, I realize, but you like there just shouldn't be that level of discrepancy in our education system, you know? I mean, no shit, but like for real, the fact that like I went to a small town, you went to city's probably not the right word.
No, it was a county private school.
Still,
it was one of the larger ones, though.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like you went to a big fucking school. Like my school topped out at. Let me ask you this: what was the total number of student body in your high school?
Oh, you know what? I think I should clarify this. Your public school in your small town is not going to be equivalent to a public school here in the city proper.
That too.
So public schools are still going to have way more in attendance. But yes, for the private all boys high schools in St. Louis, I was in one of the larger ones. But that being said, it was 127 by the time I graduated.
Okay, fair. I was gonna say because my total was I think 400. Like not just my class. I mean all of them in the high school itself.
But that's small.
And,
I think like
very small.
My cousins that went to public school system their entire life. I think their high school, their graduating senior class was probably like 800 plus.
Yeah. Point being though is that like there are kids that don't want to be there, they do not give a shit, and they make the teachers' lives way harder. And then you have the kids like me that they're not bad kids, but they need to be able to focus, and whenever their attention is being taken away by some little shithead, which is also distracting the teacher, the whole thing's just going to go out the fucking window.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely,
that was one of the things that I really appreciated about college. It's like, once I got to university, there was a lot more of it, but when I was just in like community college, it's like, okay, every single thing that I am taking is related in some way to my major, and at the time that was nursing. So it's like, that's fine, that's what I want.
Absolutely.
And like, literally everyone else here is the same way. No one is some shithead kid that once they turn 18 is going to go work in like a factory or some shit like that. Or in my school's case, probably commit a crime and get thrown away to jail. Like you didn't have that. Everyone that's in community college is there because they want to learn and they want to get a degree and they're not going to fucking waste time.
Yes.
And that's
a great way. Yes, that's a great way to frame it.
That was huge for me. And I was a straight A student through most of grade school. It started to flounder in middle school, and then high school, it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
But then my first 2 years of community college, I don't think for every single one, but damn near every semester, those first 2 years, I was straight A's. And that to me was just like, that's the ultimate sign. And I'm the same way with you, where you said like you don't regret it in terms of how it formed you. Mm-hmm. I don't regret those fucking nursing courses. One, because all but literally one course was able to transfer over when I changed my major. And two, the one that didn't flip over is probably the one that I got the most out of in terms of like, it always cracks me up where it's like, you're a little kid, you're in grade school, and you can't mess around. They're not going to tolerate that in middle school. Well, then you're a middle schooler. You can't mess around. They're not going to tolerate that in high school.
You're young men now.
Then you're a high schooler. You can't act like that in high school. They don't tolerate that in college. And then you get to college, and the college professor's like, my name's Dan. Sup? Let's talk about some anatomy.
Yep.
100%.
Man.
The teacher that I had, it was anatomy that couldn't move over. The teacher that I had, he was a very goofy, very eccentric guy. He fucking loved teaching. He was a very strange man, but I fucking loved him. And his way of teaching was very direct. He would not hold your hand on anything, but he knew when you wanted to actually learn. And if he knew that you wanted to learn, he would do whatever he fucking could. He would bend his back to not help you pass, but help you learn. And that did so fucking much for me.
That's amazing.
That did
I love
so fucking much for me in terms of like my education. And it's just, the reason I say all that again is because like high school, the kids are there because they have to be.
Yes.
And the teachers are dealing with these kids because they have to.
Yes.
But when you get to community college, when you're teaching college, you're there because you're passionate about your subject. At least in my experience. I'm sure
Same. That's how I felt.
I ran into a couple college professors that's like, all right, you're here for 10 years and to cash a check. But unlike high school where that was the common denominator, that was a huge outlier. And I think that's a very, very big difference but between the two, and why I could safely be like, I would never do high school again. But there is a part of me that's like, damn, college was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I learned about myself a lot. And it's kind of where I'm like, that I would maybe do over again. There's certainly things that I would do different, I suppose.
Sure.
But
sure.
Overall,
I think too, I like the point that you made there of like, the teachers are there because they have to be, the students are there because they have to be.
Yeah.
And the biggest difference, like community college is like, you're there to learn and you're there to get the value of your money, and the teachers are there to understand that you are appreciative of what you did to get here and what you're paying for. And those teachers are really reflected to me. Again, I couldn't tell you a bad teacher I had. And again, I know it's a small sample size. I think I did 3 semesters for community college altogether while I was in between. And it was much more apparent that it was a passion for them. They knew they weren't making the big, bills or whatever.
Definitely.
They knew they weren't getting the state school money, but they didn't care. Like they wanted to. They were voicing and maybe fighting for something that made more sense to them, and that was, this is valuable, and this is something. These are courses and things that everybody should be able to learn at a much more accessible level. Versus state schools, state professors. I am not downplaying their passion or their level of expertise. They are there for a reason. However, I think it's very much different because then you get to the point where, because the state schools are usually the ones where the kids from private schools go to fuck off and either barely pass, and then it doesn't matter what their grades are at the end of the day. They're going to work for their dad and make a fuck ton of money because money stays where money is.
Sure.
They are going to fuck around, and those professors, especially in like those bigger auditorium type settings, they don't care if you're there or not.
No,
they're there to do their agenda, which is good. They're there to teach, and if you listen or not, that's your fucking problem.
And I definitely had a couple of those in university.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was one of those types that just loved the smell of his own farts. I didn't even do bad in his class either.
Yeah.
I actually did fairly well.
Yeah.
Whereas, apparently I had one of the higher grades, which was a fucking B, and a lot of people were, failing it and shit.
Yeah.
But I say loves the smell of his own farts because he wrote his own fucking textbook and then wanted you to buy it. So it's like, you cannot tell me if a professor writes their own textbook and then puts it in the school store and charges $180 for it, you cannot tell me that is not someone that doesn't love the smell of their own farts.
Man's going to bank.
I'm sorry. You cannot. You can't convince me. And, of course, it's also one of those textbooks that I think I cracked it open once.
Yeah.
And then never had to and was still fine. That was most textbooks, though. Not even just in college and all of my schooling, really.
Oh, totally.
But
that was such a Such a fucking
Oh yeah.
racket.
Oh yeah. And then the other one I had, so part of it, trying to think of the best way to put this without making me sound like a monster. I sometimes have trouble understanding what people are saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of trouble understanding what this woman was saying. And so I took in my laptop to take notes. This woman was such... She was not a very competent person, shall we say.
Okay.
And had her head so far up her ass that she assumed that me being on my laptop while in her class meant that I was messing on the internet, and therefore she sent me an email telling me don't bring it to class anymore, which she had done to several people, or else she would flunk us.
Nice.
Yeah. So I struggled and barely managed to see in that class. But that's like the ultimate one that I think of. Because I remember visiting my parents, you know, and sitting there. I remember telling my parents, just sitting there, like hanging out with them, and then getting an email from her out of nowhere saying, come Monday, don't bring your laptop to class anymore. I have noticed that you're being distracted, or some shit like that.
Sure.
Basically, if she didn't see you making eye contact with her, then like she assumed you weren't paying attention. And that's the kind of professor that I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. All right. I messed that up.
That's fine.
Anyway, we've had a whole hour where we basically had an existential crisis about schools and our education and everything. So
That's great.
all with the backdrop of Al Pacino punching and killing people.
Well, it makes sense. He's a rag to riches story. I don't know. I can't make the connection.
Did Tony Montana go to college? I don't think so.
If you don't go to
He
college,
went to the school of hard knocks.
go to the school of hard knocks, start pushing drugs, and you're going to be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
This fucking Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah,
looking
what is this guy
motherfucker,
doing?
He's just chilling out, just like, hey, yeah, you're shooting up all those people, aren't you?
I think he's on your side.
Yeah, he's like a bro.
He does have a fucking just machete.
Yeah.
Just going to town.
That's not a knife.
Hey, man.
That's a knife. So you played Knifey Spoony before.
You fucked up.
You know what? That's fine.
Cash and drugs you lost.
Oh my God.
104 grams.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh.
What do we do when we fall off the horse, huh?
We stay down and we end the episode.
We get fucked in the ass. That's what we do.
Bye.